get the old palette ready again. I'm always running out of white. I say that like it's a big surprise. You gotta buy a lot of white when you're painting. It's the color you're gonna run out of first, all the time. The next ones are probably the primary colors or something. I'm using a lot of this permeable white. This is a really old tube. Like I say, it's really old. It's not that old, but it's old enough. They don't make this anymore, not really. It's just something I have lying around. I figure, well, if we have it, we might as well use it. It's been around my place for like, God, feels like a decade or something now. Has it really been that long? I had to pick a little dried piece of paint, flaked off of the lip of the tube and onto my palette, and we can't have that mixing into the paint. I think we should probably get a couple of things over here soon. We need to get a lamp over in this area, and then we gotta get some candlesticks. And we've kind of been neglecting things for a little while over there. Been focusing a lot in this area, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. It's just that, well, I think painting is kind of an all-over type thing, where you got to focus on multiple different parts and not just on one thing, so that it doesn't look like you spent all your time in one area, and then by the time you get to another area, well, it becomes evident that it's going to be a little underworked compared to the last spot. And well, you don't want to overwork too many areas too, because the thing of it is that background elements that aren't the focus, that's not as important as focusing all your energy on the figure in the front. I'm going to take just a smidge of this mud mix, put it into the yellow that I just whipped up. It's a little bit better. I've been trying to get my head on straight, I guess, recently. I was having a tough time getting going tonight. I think it's mostly because I'm, sleep deprived and all that. Finding it really hard to sleep recently. I don't know why. It's probably a combination of all the caffeine I drink, a combination of life events, a lot of different things going on that just make the day difficult to get through at times. But I think things will get easier eventually. I tell myself that so that I stay a little sane. Don't want to go too crazy. But, sometimes you lose sight of things. If I get too crazy, I just tell myself, that's your artistic genius at work. Yeah. Takes a lot of repetitions of that one for me to believe it, though. Alright. I'm just using a very basic mix of cadmium yellow and ultramarine and alizarin crimson for all this. Alizarin crimson is just one of those colors that it's so hard to paint without it. Like, you hear artists talk about replacing it all the time, but if you paint with alizarin crimson, you'll see very quickly why it's so popular. It handles an oil paint so nicely. A lot of watercolors handle so much differently, and they don't handle like oil paint. Some colors in oil paint feel like plastic, for lack of a better way to phrase it. They feel like they're not, you can feel how synthetic they are in the way that they handle. But alizarin crimson doesn't feel that way. It feels very natural. And then cadmium colors don't feel that way. But when you start handling colors like, oh, all the replacements for the bright colors on the red and yellow end of the spectrum, you can tell very quickly that it's not quite the same thing. I guess maybe you could get used to it, but after you paint with one thing for so long, you find, oh, I don't know that I want to get used to it. Okay, let's focus a little bit on a lamp that I want to paint here. I think I'm going to use a little bit of my alizarin crimson, my ultramarine to get the color that I want. So alizarin crimson I'm using is quite powerful. It's a little bit strong, just a little bit. And on the bright side, I'm going to have plenty of color to mess around with here. Yeah. There's going to be no shortage of paint. Let's use a little bit of that yellow. Okay. I still need something. This doesn't feel right. Sometimes if you have trouble mixing a dark color with the mud mix that you have going on, it could be because there's too much white in the mix. It's common for that to be a problem. Yeah, happens all the time. I think I've got something here that's going to work. Yeah, I think I've got something. Took a hot minute to mix it up, but I do think this will work. Mixing colors is a lot of trial and error in the process. Okay, start outlining some things. I think we got a color that's finally dark enough. A lot of times when you're mixing a color, you'll think to yourself that it's lighter than it actually is. Values are strange. You'll think that a color has too much white in it, but then you realize while you're painting, oh my, it's actually way darker than I imagined it would be. Okay, let's be very careful here. Just start. And remember, if we mess anything up, we can just paint over it. Now right about here, I want to say, right about here is where we're going to put a little line down. Right about to there. Okay. Now, do we like that? Do we like that? Let's paint this down this way. Just down that way. It's okay to just draw the shapes first. We don't have to commit too fully until we're ready to start really putting in all the nuts and bolts, so to speak. But once we're ready, we'll start really blocking in some shapes, and things will really start to look nice. Okay, let's make sure we're right about here, and then right about there is where we want to put this, right about there. Okay, it's not too shabby. Right about there's where that's going to go. Perspective may not be absolutely perfect, but we'll see. I don't know, this is kind of curving over a little bit. This doesn't look too far removed from what's going on over there. Hopefully it's not too jacked up when we get done with things. You never know, it could be. I guess guess it would be a little on brand for it to be kind of jacked up, wouldn't it? For me at least. Yeah, proportions. They're such fickle things at times. Okay. Let's see. I think right about there. That's where that purple is going to end. Okay. This couch may need to be lowered very slightly because it just doesn't feel quite right. Something about it feels a little high over here. I can tell. That's okay. We'll just keep going. Keep doing what we're doing. We'll keep doing what we're doing. There. And I think that what's going on here, a lot of this is going to be hidden by the couch. So I guess we don't have to get too invested. But we're going to just stick in one more thing here. One more. Okay. And right about there. This must look really weird, drawing it in like this. It's okay. It's allowed to be a little weird. There's nothing wrong with taking your time with painting. Maybe you get things wrong. Or, maybe they get right the first time around. The point is that you get there at your own pace. And I feel like I'm doing that just now. Just getting to places at my own pace. It's been a while since we've done a lot of oil painting, or been a while since I've done a lot of oil painting. And admittedly, it does feel a little weird at times getting back into it. I feel like my skills weren't as sharp as they used to be, but they'll get there. And you never really forget how to do things. Alright. Well, take a look at that. Take a look at that. Maybe we'll bring this over slightly. God, I'm realizing that maybe my proportions are still a little jacked up. Let's try to bring this over this way. Can't be afraid to mess things up. No, can't be afraid to mess things up. It's okay. We're gonna mess it up. Let's mess it up. This probably needs to go like all the way up to God. This probably needs to go all the way up to here, now that I think about it. Wow. That's quite a line, actually. Well, that's what I say. We're searching for a line. We're not committing too fully. It's a good thing I didn't get rid of this color yet. Yeah, it's a good thing I didn't. Okay, this can go right about to the same spot. We're going to have to clean this up a little bit with the colors that are going to go over it. I suppose I could just scratch the whole thing out, maybe. Yeah, that's definitely an option. We could just scratch this paint out, but it might be easier to just roll with the punches on this one. Okay. Well, I don't know about easier. No. Easier? That's maybe a little bit of a stretch. I don't know, one ever said painting was going to be easy. Let's just start painting in some colors, I think. Let's start with a little bit of green, I think. We've already got a decent amount of color mixed up for it. This is going to be a very green, well, not very green, I meant to say gray color. Yeah, very gray color. So we're going to put in some of this yellow. God, maybe we'll even sneak in some Viridian. Yeah, that might be a choice. Let's do that. I think it'll surprise us what that looks like. I don't really have any Viridian on the palette right now, but I can just put some on. Just a little touch. Viridian is a bluish green color. It's a very soft color. It's not very strong at all, but it's very, very permanent. And it's very, very pretty. But it's one of those colors that a lot of people don't really use anymore because phthalo green tends to be a lot stronger, and it just offers a better. Phthalo green tends to offer a lot more, I think, for your buck. It's more intense, and some people like that. I like a color in the same shade that's a little bit toned down, not quite as pretty. Oh, well, I say not quite as pretty, I mean not quite as strident. Because if there's one thing that phthalo green is, it is very, very powerful. It overpowers everything. It gets into every mix, even when it tries not to. If you can make it work for you, it's not a bad color. I've made it work for me. I even use some phthalo colors. Okay. Some interesting things happening already. Let's see here. Let's see. We're just going to broaden that a little bit. Yeah. It's a really nice color, actually. This is a very earthy kind of green color. It's unusual, but I like it like this. I like the way that the green is juxtaposed against that purple. It's a very attractive look. Now, realizing I got some of the angles wrong on this lamp here, and we are trying to fix it mid-go. But I think, like I said, we're making it work. Let's get a little bit more of that color down into here, down this way. Okay. I wonder if maybe just a little bit more of the Viridian to make it look a little bit more blue-green. Yeah, it is nice. I think we want to terminate this color right about in here. And start thinking about curving this because the lamp is going to end right about in there. Somewhere in there. Right around where that brickwork ends. And then we're going to want to bring a pillow up here too. Yeah, there's some pillow stuff that we haven't really done too much work on that this is going to end in. Okay. We'll use a little bit of yellow on that too. Throw a little something here. I don't know if that's bright enough, but it kind of is getting there. I remember for a while I was obsessed with Viridian. I don't even know that I use Viridian as much anymore. It's a versatile color, but I tend to use a lot more cobalt green. And that's a color that nobody uses. Nobody uses cobalt green. It's kind of wild to even admit that I use it because it's such an oddball color to choose. But admittedly, I love cobalt green a lot. Cobalt green is a color that a lot of painters don't really like it over the entire existence of over the entire period of its existence. But I've always felt a certain kinship with the color. It occupies sort of the same hue space as Viridian and phthalo green, but I like using it. It's very opaque. It's very specific use, and you only really use it in very select instances, which I guess would be why it's select use, but there's a reason I don't use it that much. Okay, let's maybe get some pure Viridian on this, so maybe people can get a better sense of what we're talking about. I think we're going to use a Viridian that's about the same value as what we've been putting down here. Because I understand that. Sometimes I talk about colors and it's like I'm speaking another language. No, well, if we're going to talk about, I think I talk about my supplies and I talk about my colors as a way of not really dealing with things. Because sometimes I have difficulty getting up in the morning. Sometimes I have a hard time getting ready for the day. Some days I just feel very, very sad. For a variety of reasons. I think I've mentioned before, it can be a little hard to talk about them. But I paint, and it makes me feel a little bit better. I guess that's why I do it so much. Why I started doing it again. It makes me feel better about the way things are. I think I just felt so sad that I said to myself that I needed to have color back in my life in a very literal way. It's probably about good. Now here's more or less pure Viridian with a tint color viridian with some tints. Maybe let's maybe oddly enough, this may help us get this painting back on track. Viridian. Such a pretty color, isn't it? Insanely pretty. Sometimes you forget how pretty it can be. I wonder sometimes how interested people are in art anymore. Some days it feels like there isn't all that much interest anymore. But then again, sometimes I think, well, maybe it's just the videos that you produce. It's probably what it probably is a case of that it's less about people being interested in art, but more of a case of people not necessarily being interested in what you're doing. Which, I mean, yeah, maybe. But you still have to wonder. Alright, I think this is looking a little bit more shapely, thank goodness. A little bit more up to snuff. I still think I want to get a little bit more of a yellow-green color in there. Feel like that would be, that'd be nice to have. Maybe we'll throw a little something down in here. Yeah. I think let's add a little bit of that gray color. Take a look at it. Yeah, just a wee bit more white. Feels like we're always adding so much white to things. Okay. Let me wipe off my knife. Or excuse me, not wipe off my knife, but wipe off my brush. Because my brush is getting a little dirty here after all that viridian action. Okay. Let's check this out. And let's get this a little bit more over to, close to the side, I think. I think we're getting a little bit too much. Well, maybe not. Maybe not. I was getting a little worried there that I was doing too much, but nah, I think we're alright. I think we got this. This light bulb is going to go... It's going to be kind of wacky looking in the glass, I think. It's going to be distorted by the way that the glass is propping it up. Okay. About in there. That's probably about fine. At least that's the shape of it. So many more things that we could do. So many more things that maybe we should do. Speaking of which, Speaking of which, maybe we'll add a little bit of Prussian blue to this, because I need a slightly lighter color to do the things I want to do right now, I think. A slightly lighter blue. That's why I have the Prussian blue. Prussian blue is a very similar color to phthalo blue. Very similar, but not quite the same. It's a very fast-drying color, and it's one of the oldest colors there is that you can be using. You just want a little dab of it. Prussian blue is very, very strong. It's so strong on the palette that it kind of it overpowers other colors if you let it. So we gotta be very, very judicious and only use it when we absolutely, positively can't get another color any other way. And we're already starting to get somewhere in the ballpark of what we're looking for. Yeah, there we go. I see that blue. That's the blue I want. That's a very, very pretty blue. And that is why we use Prussian blue. It's a little bit more greenish. A little bit more greenish. A little bit more of a greenish blue color. I use this color so much. I act like we only use it sparingly, but nah, we actually use it all the time. Here. There's that a little something right there. Yeah. I've spent a lot of time painting, and well, I know the colors that I like. I like Prussian blue. I like alizarin crimson. I like ultramarine. I like cadmium yellow, orange, red. I like... Here, let's put another one right over here. Right about over there. I do believe, right. How do I want to do this? Choices. It's a difficult choice to make. Here, we'll just put it right there. It's already looking pretty nice, isn't it? A little bit. At least it's giving us an idea of where that lamp has to go now. Really beats not having it in place at all, which was a little frustrating. God, that blue is so electric. You really forget how pretty it is until you start using it again. I feel like I'm going to be raving about that blue for days. Prussian blue. Yet another color that people don't really like using, it seems like. But me, I use it all the time. Alright. Let's go ahead and just get some colors going here. Okay. This is going to go right about here. This couch is just way too tall. This is about where the top of the couch should be. And that, boy, that hurts to admit, but wow. That couch was way too high. Let's see, can we get some more ultramarine in there? I would like that a lot, actually. Get some more in there, get some more blue. Yeah. Liven things up a little bit. Okay. The bottom of this is going to go to about right here. About right there. Actually, it should go over this way a little bit. There. Just need to shift it over slightly. Shift it over. This is one of those corrections I keep telling us about. There. You know what we could do with a color like that? We could put a little bit of, well, we could put a little bit of an orange color in there. Maybe we'll, with a color like ultramarine, we could use a little bit of cadmium orange and cadmium red. Well, maybe not cadmium orange, but cadmium red and cadmium yellow deep. Those are the ones that we have. At least I thought I had it. Where did I put that, dude? Thought I had it somewhere around here. Right now, I think I found them. Okay. I've got my cadmium red light right here. Okay. We'll just take a little bit of that. I've got my cadmium orange nearby. And we'll just mix these two a little bit, I think. Okay. This is going to be this is going to be a little strident, I think. You see how that looks? Red is already a pretty dark color. These are pretty colors, but we need to add a little bit of white, get them around same value-ish. Although we could use some of the color that we've whipped up right here and just kind of throw a little something right in there. Which seems insane, but it does have a way of making a color pop a little bit. You can also mix in a little bit of a neutral color to what we've done there. And now we've got something similar in tone, and we could throw that in. Okay. When you do that, it seems like all kinds of interesting things start to happen. Everything starts to kind of take shape when you have those colors mixing together just so. And it's not just a one-step process either. You can keep painting it and repainting it and going back in and doing things later. But it opens up possibilities when you do those sorts of things. It is a little bit red, isn't it? It kind of feels that way, but still, just having something fascinating like that is a net positive, I think. Let's concentrate on the yellows in the background here. I think we have something like what we want. So let's put this right here, right above that. And let's put another one right there. Okay, another one off to the side, right here. I think we want to bring this. Okay. Things are getting good up in here, guys. Yeah. These colors are getting nicer and nicer. Wonder if this lamp went over a little too far, or if maybe we didn't take it far enough. I don't know. Let's go this way. The proportions are all over the place today, it seems like. It'll get clearer as we go. Yeah, it will. It'll get clearer. And well, I'm thinking about it. Why don't we put a little something right there? I don't know if that's right, but it felt right in the moment. Okay. Let's maybe put a little something right here. Okay. Alright. Maybe a little bit more right there. Feels like a very lemony kind of color. The colors are starting to shape up over the relatively transparent layers of paint that we were putting down earlier. Things feel a lot different than they did. Just a little bit. That's good. That's good. Different is good. Different is good. It would be kind of unbearable if our colors were so uniform that we weren't having fun with them at all. If we didn't take any big risks, that would be, God, that would be tragic. Imagine not taking any big risks when you're painting. No. No, I wouldn't want to think about that. Okay, let's just wipe off this brush a little. I think I'm going to take some of the white for that Prussian blue and make that blue even lighter. I don't know if we got this light enough yet, but there's a little air freshener that's like right here. It's still pretty blue. Right about there is where we want this ever so light color to be. And all these blues are really going to stand out, I think, against all the yellow that we're throwing down in the background due to all the, well, due to visual complements, because yellow against blue generally is considered a visual complement, or an orange yellow against Prussian blue tends to look very vibrant. It causes the colors to sort of vibrate against each other, and it's really fascinating to look at. Okay. It's going to make the painting better, I guess is what I'm trying to say. There's a whole lot of trust me bro in that statement. But no, there's a method to the madness. There's a reason they call it art and not science. There's a little bit of science that goes on with painting, but by and large, no, we're just kind of just trying things out, and seeing where the chips fall and all that. Yeah, it's not bad. I think we want to extend it all the way over here. I think that was my grave misstep earlier, was that I didn't extend it all the way over there. And then, let's do this. Okay, let's be bold. I know we're having a hard time being bold today. That's okay, some days are like that. You have a hard time being bold, it just means you're having a day of it like I've been. But, you gotta pick yourself back up. You gotta get yourself back in gear. And you gotta just put on your painting boots. Put on your painting hat. I literally put on my painting hat before I come on here. I wear a beret when I'm painting. Remember, if you've been here a long time, if you've been with me a long time, you may remember that I used to wear a beret. And I've started wearing my beret again. But I'm sure you noticed from the beginning of the video, because, well, you probably notice things, don't you? We all notice something. We all notice that sort of thing, I think. Well, if you did notice, well, you're right. You're right. I am wearing my painting hat. And I felt like I really needed to. Say what you will about me. I felt like I needed to wear my painting hat. And you know what? It still feels good to wear. Mark my words, it still feels good. If it ever feels bad, that's when we know we're really in trouble. Yeah. Alright, let's take some of this color that we whipped up. Because I started just mixing cadmium again. I made it a little bit oranger this time. Made it a little bit oranger, so let's see how that looks. It's a little bit dull, but I think it kind of gets the point across. With maybe a little bit more gusto this time. Yeah. I don't know, should we be mixing colors that quite this dark? I don't know. But it sure feels good. We're really trying things. We're really just experimenting with colors. That's what we're doing. We're experimenting. We're having a good time with our colors. Well, and when you do that, people can see the joy in your painting when you're just having a little bit of fun with it, trying to find just the right color for every situation. People like it when you just enjoy yourself, have fun with your colors. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to just lighten up some of my alizarin crimson here. I want to see what happens. I don't know. Kind of in a moment right now where I'm saying, what's the worst that can happen here? Well, we'll just try lightening this up ever so slightly. This is a very light pastel color that I'm looking for right now. It's ridiculously light. Okay. I may be onto something here. Let's just see about this color. This is kind of the beginning of the pillow as it's supposed to look. As it's supposed to look. Let's outline the pillow slightly. Let's do that. It should go all the way about over here. Right to about there. Okay. And it goes down to about here, I think. Down to about there. Now that is a good start. Getting a little bit heavy-handed with this, but you know, it's been long enough that I think we can maybe block in a couple of things here. Pillow is going to extend to about I think the pillow is going to extend to about right about there. Right about there. Okay. God, it feels good to just have it out there and say it. There. This is getting to be a crazy painting, guys. A little bit. Yeah, a little bit. I'm starting to think that maybe I might have extended this a little too far. Well, we're making all kinds of adjustments anyway, so I'll see what else is new. Yeah, what else is new, guys? Realizing that the pillow over here is so much lower than what I'm doing over here. That seems kind of crazy. I'm also realizing that the head of the figure is going to be a lot smaller than I thought it would be. Which I guess makes sense. It is lying down a bit. So that's fine. I'm going to have to raise the arm a little bit to cover some of this. And then the head, I think, right about there is where that probably should go. Right about there. Notice the pillow is just taking a little bit of a dive this way. Right to about, well, I don't even know that the way I had it was necessarily wrong. It doesn't feel like it was all that wrong. It just feels like some of it was incomplete. And it was, because we hadn't really focused that much on it. But now that we're looking at it head on, I can see, well, yeah, might need to make a few corrections here and there to get this in line with what we want. But now we've done it. I think now is about the time where we scrape up everything that we made and bring it into the pile. That pile of mud. This pile of mud is getting really, really large. What I need to do is get some little tubes so that I can start packaging this. Packaging it. I don't want to sell it. I just want to have it in a tube so I can squeeze out the mud when I need it. I got some Blizzard Crimson on my finger. There's that occupational hazard I tell you guys about. Always in danger of getting paint on my hands. One of these days I'll get through a painting session and I won't get paint on my hands. And the day that I do, I'm going to be sure to let you all know, so you can tell me what a good job I did not getting paint on my hands. You should really scrape off your palette every so often too if you're painting. Sometimes you just need that good, it's a very literal palette cleanse. So you can have brighter colors if you want them, so you can just clear up the space. Not even necessarily about brighter colors, it's just so you can have brighter or darker colors, and so you can get things cleaner, and so you can make space for new mixtures. But then you have like this little pile off to the side of just brown. This is all your colors mixed together. This is why I say a lot of times that maybe it's better that you don't use too many colors, because it does get difficult to do things when you have too many of them. Okay, I think we have everything in order, guys. I'm just going to get more paint on my hands. So